Imagine this being my wrestling persona. Holy shit. When I push my muscles out forward, hello, welcome. I'm going to pump you up.
You've just entered the cow zone.
It's pronounced calzone.
Lazor Comb.
We are not going to panic.
What the heck even happened to you, man?
Vengeance.
Shrimp Daddy! Ha 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 ha!
Give him a hockey stick!
What am I, fucking magician, man?
Am I some kind of fucking magician, man?
Fucking nerd.
Big nerd. Whatever. It's not like we're professionals anyway.
And I'm not sorry anymore.
Time to big brain.
Every day, yes.
What is the Airwolf of trains? Welcome, listeners, to episode 103 of the Lazor Comb podcast. Podcast where two dudes. The what?
The Lazor Comb podcast.
The Lazor Comb podcast?
The
In the
Lazor
flesh?
Comb podcast.
What? I turned into Jack Nicholson all of a sudden. You're telling me you're on episode 103 of combing through those lasers? Is that what you're doing?
You're telling me you're already on episode 103 of With His Fucking Money?
See, I think of a man and I take away his dick.
What is a man?
What is a man but a miserable pile of testicles? Enough talk. How about you? And sometimes not at all. We comb through classic television with a fine-tooth laser here. And what that means is we're going to talk about a random episode. My co-host and I, but perhaps I'm getting ahead of myself. Happy holidays, and my name is what's my holiday name? But I'm joined to you by the Holly Jolly. We should have thought about that before we started recording, but I got nothing.
I will just go with what I was actually named after, which is the patron Saint Christopher.
The patron Saint Christopher the Foppadoodle.
Yeah,
he kind of was. That on a random note. What is this from? I tried to clean my desk. I have written down the Mines of Morbia instead of the Mines of Moria. Must have been
Mines of Morbius.
Yeah.
It's Morbin time.
Christopher. It's Morbin time. Saint Christopher the Foppadoodle. Huh. Weird. I guess I must have thought that was worthy of keeping. And
you know what? I remember, actually. I was talking a while back about how I was named after Saint Christopher, and I was talking about how much of a fool he was, because he kind of was. Like, if you read about Saint Christopher, the guy was a complete doofus. I'm almost embarrassed that I was named after him. Anyway, I think I randomly said Saint Christopher the Fopdoodle, and you were like, I'm going to use that in one of my games. As like an
That's
NPC.
why I wrote it down.
Yeah.
There we go. And I'm NeoCal. Or Jingle Cal, or something along those lines.
And I am Saint Christopher Siege. Good evening, ladies, gentlemen, and all the ships at sea. Welcome to the Lazor Comb podcast. We are so off the rails already.
That's right, but we ran with it because humor, yeah. And you may be wondering why you're here and what we do. Well, I'll tell you. We review random episodes of every episode of the Lazor Comb podcast of a different TV show that has finished its run on TV.
Yep.
And well, wouldn't you know it, we landed on SWAT Cats today.
SWAT Cats is a Patreon pick from our Patreon subscriber, Vampiro.
That's right.
Big shout out to him. He pitched us SWAT Cats. And, well, that's what we're here to talk about today.
What is your history with SWAT Cats?
Episode 13 of SWAT Cats. Catastrophe with a K. Because it's the 90s.
That's right. If you weren't spelling C words with a K, you weren't cool.
Yeah, like what are you even doing?
Yeah. Combat, Cal,
Christopher.
SWAT Cats, Christopher. I've never met a K Christopher, but I have met K Christinas.
I've met both.
Well, okay. The 90s kids?
Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense. Yeah.
My history with SWAT Cats. I did not know this show existed, even though I was the right age for it. And
age, right time.
Yeah, right age, right time. Honestly, if I had known about this show, I probably would have been all over it.
Same. Never even heard of this show. Yeah. But it had like young me like written all over it. I'm like, oh, holy shit. A city full of cats. And there's two vigilante dudes. And one of the cats is a lizard scientist. Like the villain is a lizard cat.
Dr. Viper. I thought he was a dog, honestly. He was like a snake dog.
Yeah. He's more like a snake.
He's more like a dog than a cat.
And the other dude was like a Ganon, like... I'm getting ahead of myself here. SWAT Cats. Okay. SWAT Cats is about two cool dudes.
SWAT Cats, the Radical Squadron. The full title of the series.
The Radical Squadron. If you wanted to probably the most 90s named cartoon.
Yeah. Agreed.
Yeah, I'll give it that. And unlike most shows where there's like a group of like 3, 4, maybe even like 5 like heroes, it's two cool cats.
Yep, it's two cats. Their names were...
I can't remember.
I can't remember either.
Don't worry, we have the technology.
I have the internet in front of me. Is there a cast and characters
the
section?
World Wide Web in the palm of our at the edge of our fingertips.
List of SWAT Cats, the Radical Squadron characters. Razor and T-Bone.
Razor and T-Bone are also very
very 90s names.
Like on the heel, following the heels of like 80s like cool dude names. Razor and T-Bone.
The supporting cast, the names are the Mayor, Mayor Manx, voiced by Jim Cummings.
Mm-hmm. And this chick is
the Deputy Mayor, Callie Briggs.
I have a feeling you have some mixed. You have some mixed feelings for. About Callie Briggs.
It's not, I gotta say, it's not often that I type in a character's name followed by Rule 34.
He's lying, it's often.
But with this character, I definitely did. And the internet.
You know what? I'm usually the one that does that. And for once it's been, I'm just saying, If you're wondering why there's a lot of furries, go and try to watch any fucking cartoon from the 90s.
Yeah.
Like you can't like, what was it? I guess like the least furry thing would be like Reboot, where they're kind of people-ish gargoyles, but like they're not even like really people. Mummies Alive were like people, but they're undead. Like you're not, they're not just people, is what I'm saying. Also, fucking David Bluth. What was his fucking company called? The anthropomorphic Disney movies galore.
The 90s was kind of the peak of like hot female cartoon characters.
Hot female non-human cartoon character. Don Bluth, not David Bluth.
Yeah, Don Bluth.
Who had shit like what was the first one he seen? It was like Rock-a-Doodle Doo, All Dogs Go to Heaven.
I was
Secret of Nim. The mom in Secret of Nim. When I was a little kid, I was like, I like this mouse mom.
I was a big fan of Rock-a-Doodle when I was a kid.
Hell yeah.
Most people I've met have never heard of it.
Titan AE.
Other characters we got is Commander Ulysses Farrell.
I like that character.
Lieutenant Commander Steele, which is another very 90s name.
Oh yeah, very.
Sergeant Talon. And
who is like the evil wizard cat? There's like two villains in this.
Dark Cat.
It's just they were really reaching for that one, huh? I forgot. Yeah. So the gist of the show, from what I can tell, and from my week-old cursory glance of Wikipedia, was there's two renegades. They're given like the kind of okay from the city to like take down the super threats that the city of Chicago, I name cat pun of city here. And you know what? Like the police just
Lost Catulus.
Why? It might as well be. The point isn't that. Like, what even is it? I don't care. Christopher's got the wiki up, but the point is, it's very much the kind of like, oh, damn those SWAT cats. They're a menace to society. They cause more damage than they prevent.
Mega Cat City.
Oh, it's not even a pun. It's
No.
Mega Cat City.
Mega
Is that
Cat
better
City.
or worse? I want to say better. It's better than a pun. Oh geez, who's the kind of like commissioner, like police chief cat?
The guy who's after them?
Yeah,
That's Commander Farrell.
Commander Farrell. Yeah, so he's kind of like the SWAT cats are a menace to society character.
I'm going to jump right to the end real quick because it's kind of on topic right now. I was very confused at the end of this episode because it's like, okay, so the SWAT cats saved the mayor and the deputy mayor. And they're like, oh, you're going to have to pay, the city's going to have to pay for our new jet fighter, our new jet, because like ours got destroyed. And the mayor's like, what? Which I found confusing because it's like, so why would the city pay for them to get a new jet when they're vigilantes and the cops are after them?
What I got was that they're not technically vigilantes. They're a special SWAT brigade.
I'm pretty sure
they do work within the.
I'm pretty sure Commander Farrell straight up refers to them as vigilantes.
But in the sense that, like J. Jonah Jameson refers to like Spider-Man as a vigilante.
Right, but Spider-Man
I don't
isn't
know.
Vigilante though.
I got the sense that they're SWAT because they are technically a special, what is it? A special weapons. I don't even remember what SWAT actually stands for. People always say end tactics, but I think it's something else. Special. No, I guess it is special weapons and tactics. So there you go.
Special
Um,
tactics and reconnaissance. Spectre.
Spectre. Um, so I got the impression that they were like a small what's it called? Kind of like
PMC, a private military company.
private military company, or even like experimental branch of like the police. And Farrell kind of like thinks it's a waste of funds. That's the opinion or
Okay.
that's the impression I got of it. And he doesn't want to, because he's very tsundere. He doesn't want to like admit that he's still a good guy at the end of the day, because later on in the episode he like does the TMNT disguise where you just wear like a hat and a trench coat and then nobody can recognize you.
Right. Yeah.
um
We'll talk more about that when we get to
Yeah.
that, because I found that quite funny.
I and so getting into this, one thing I'll find, one thing I'll mention is it is actually like quite humorous, and not in the case where they're trying to drop jokes all the time, just in its execution, just in its like normal scenes. There's a lot that's kind of just funny, whether the writers intended for it to be or not. And I did appreciate that.
Yeah, and what I will say about the show is that, and I don't necessarily think this is a good thing, to be honest, but I feel like the show was trying to tap into 90s edginess without actually like completely grasping what that is.
Or being self-aware. Like you can be over the top, and like for example, what I mean by self-aware edginess is like that made to YouTube movie, Kung what was that cop kung fu time travel
Kung
movie?
Fury.
Kung Fury. Yeah. That knows exactly what it is and like delivers what it's trying to do. This is like on the line of being like edgelordy and kind of delivering and sometimes not delivering.
Yeah, to me this kind of feels like essentially the how do you do fellow kids like take.
It's a little how do you do fellow kids.
Yeah,
Just
how do
a
you do
little.
fellow kids take on like 90s edginess.
And the April O'Neil of the show, Callie Briggs, is like the hot, bespectacled, kind of. What was her exact title? It was like
She's the deputy mayor.
deputy mayor. So like second in command to the mayor, but the mayor's an idiot.
Yeah.
So it's like usually like up to her, and she likes the SWAT cats. But it's like a professional kind of like or tries to be a professional kind of like relationship. And yeah, I've got mixed feelings about the show trying to show me tantalizing anthropomorphized cat people, with like a, what's the word I'm looking for, with like a demanding or bossy demeanor at times, if you will, which may or may not do it for some people who shall go unnamed watching the show. And the gist of this particular episode, if we're gonna jump into it,
Yep.
is well, there's an evil jaguar lizard scientist.
Yep. Dr. Viper. So
Dr. Viper, and he's got a big old mushroom goon.
this big like mushroom monstrosity. So Dr. Viper and this mushroom monster break into this like facility, and they're trying to steal this thing called Catalyst 100, I think.
Yes. It's funny because it shows vials on the wall that are like Catalyst, like 94, 95, 96,
Yeah.
and the camera pans over.
I think
No.
I think it starts all the way from like Catalyst like 70 something and goes all the way up to 100. So
we get it. There are many, and they're numbered. And then it lands on 100, and he's like, that's the one.
That's the one that he specifically wants. So immediately I'm
one.
left wondering. I'm like, what do all the other catalysts do?
Yeah, what are those like are they just, is Catalyst 100 just the most potent? Why not wait for Catalyst 101 to be complete before you bust in?
Yeah.
Or 102. But wouldn't you know it? Just before he's gonna get away with it, spooky demon bat cats that swoop in and break through there's always like ceiling, like skylights in these labs for some reason. You'd think their security wouldn't let them have such accessible windows, but
right.
That's very much a thing in cartoons. I find there's like a museum or like a lab, and like windows are right there, like right there, and it's like they always get broken into, and it's like, guys, if your top secret stuff, maybe don't have windows in that room, maybe make it underground. Just saying.
Yeah.
And well, the bats, they steal the catalyst, and he's like, no, and he uses his tail powers. He uses his tail a lot. I like that.
I don't know what these things are called, but they kind of remind me of parademons from DC, so I'm just going to call them parademons.
They have like a cute little name, but I forget what they were. What they were called. But yeah, parademons. They're little like bat cat, like black winged things that do the bidding of
Dark Cat.
Dark Cat, who is a gigantic. So as he's walking around, he's cruising around. Viper Cat. What was his name?
Dr. Viper.
Dr. Viper. And he gets pulled into the sewers where Dark Cat base is. And he's a big old wizard. He's gigantic.
He's huge.
He's huge, but for some reason, physically, he's weaker than Dr. Viper. Because he tail smacks him around, and Dr. Viper is the aggro one, and Dark Cat is the one who's like, no, I just brought you here so that my evil cat magic and your evil cat science can team up to stop the SWAT cats once and for all.
I did find it funny in this scene that they start fighting, and Dark Cat is like quite literally like, wait a minute, you being here has given me an idea. What if
he didn't plan this? Yeah, it just like gave him an idea on the spot.
What if instead of fighting, we team up to take down the SWAT cats together?
Then the whole city will be ours. That's such a 90s villain.
It's very Saturday morning cartoon villain.
You speak the true. All right, you have yourself a deal, Dark Cat. So they team up, but they need to coerce the other evil faction, which are two robot or are they cyborg?
Robot
cats.
gangsters.
Literally robot Bonnie and Clyde, except they bicker. Robot Natasha and Boris. Natasha? They're basically robot sibling gangsters, I guess. And their right arms are just machine guns that shoot bullets.
My code name is Boris, and yours is Natasha? No, Doris.
Boris and Doris. But they're like, we don't want to team up with you, see? We're trying to rob this bank, see?
If anyone gets the reference there,
that's on the tip of my brain. Yeah, right.
Mention it in the Discord.
Yeah. We have a Discord if you're new.
Cal, I'll tell you off air.
Sweet. And well, wouldn't you know it? I I can't
So
quite
Boris and
remember where they got them from, but they have magical shock collars.
Boris and Doris were, I think they're called the Metallicats, if I recall correctly.
Yes, yes.
The Metallicats.
Which pretty good name.
So they were, yeah, it was my favorite band in high school.
The Metallicats.
The
Yeah.
Metallicats. No, they were destroyed and in the police evidence locker. And so Dark Cat and Dr. Viper send some parademons to break in and recover them. They repair them, but when they repair them and like revive them, they put these shock collars on them to control them. Because immediately when they revive them, they're like, no, we ain't working for you. See,
Right.
we are our own cats.
We're lone cats. We is.
Now listen here, we are our own bosses. We ain't working for you.
And Dark Cat is like, we'll see about that. And he has a big comical button. And they, whatever you say, boss. Yeah, we're on your sides. And I'm like, oh yeah, that's a an alliance that's definitely going to not blow up in his face.
It's like Megatron with the in Beast Wars.
Oh
with
god,
the spark.
yeah, he carved off of a chunk of big dude.
Rampage.
Rampage's spark, his soul, essentially, so he could torture him at any given moment whenever Rampage didn't do what he wanted.
Mm-hmm.
Piece of shit.
And that's basically what they're doing here to the Metallicats.
Yeah. I don't like. Oh, there it is. There it is. There we go. I'm changing my background, folks.
Ah, there we go.
Even the lady Metallic Cat, pretty shapely. They made their women folk cats kind of shapely, which I'm confused about because don't cats have 6 nipples? Shouldn't they have 6? If they were anthropomorphized, shouldn't they have 6 boobas?
6 are better than 2.
Well, if I've learned anything from Arnold going to Mars, it's that any number is better than 2. So,
so a whole bunch of stuff happens in this episode.
Honestly, it's a whole bunch of stuff. There's cars is exploding. The SWAT cats have a SWAT vehicle. The SWAT cats have a SWAT jet. The SWAT cats have a SWAT amphibious thing, right? Very Batman-esque, in which one opens up into the other. There's a part where like they hijack or steal a car from them. Whatever. There's like a lot of there's a lot of shooting and car explosions.
There's a lot of shooting and car chases and explosions going on in this show.
A lot of like chasing through the straits, and it's not that that's not fine. It's just that there's nothing else to really tell you.
Yeah,
it's the final act. It's the beginning and final act that actually have anything of substance to talk about.
Boris and Doris go and rob a bank. I think the screenshot that you're using as your background is from like them like leaving the bank. So they rob a bank.
They get like radioed, and it's just like, what are you guys doing? You're supposed to be stopping the SWAT cats. And they're like, yeah, well, we just getting a little bit of revenge. I think they want to kill the mayor or there's someone else, or they're robbing something. The gangsters.
Yeah, they rob a bank or something. The SWAT cats.
Their only weakness seems to be that they bicker and then forget and then ignore the real threats.
Right.
Like they're bulletproof. They have infinite ammo, but they bicker amongst each other.
Right. So they rob a bank. That leads to a big chase. One of the SWAT cats, I think I can't even remember their names now.
He steals their own like car that they've been given
Yeah.
from Dark Cat. Then it's blown up by the other
By the
one,
other
'cause
SWAT
he's like,
cat.
yeah, he's like, oh, T-Bone doesn't know it's me that's driving this, and he's like, huh? And he just like bails out of it. The
He
vehicle
bails out of it,
explodes.
and the other SWAT cat who's flying around over
Is
the
like,
city
huh?
in the jet blows up the car, shoots it. It's like, wow, you almost killed your friend there, dude.
Yeah, and he's like, what? I didn't know you were in there. And I'm like, shouldn't you guys have radios, earpieces on like at all
Yeah.
times? There's only two of you.
Yeah.
You're not like the TMNT or like Power Rangers. It's not 4 or 5 of you. There's two.
And we've established that you guys have like high-tech machinery
They're literally flying a Harrier jet and
throughout
like,
the city. It's like you can't afford like a little like earpiece radio. Like, come on.
come on.
What are we doing
Right?
here?
Come on. Yeah, you guys have future tech and you guys don't have a radio that can be like, hey, I got the car or whatever. Wait, the bad guys have earpiece radios or at least handheld radios, but the good guy, that's one thing I just noticed. The good guys are like the bad guys are talking to each other, but the good guys aren't.
Yeah, I didn't
Who
even
knows?
notice that.
Maybe I haven't watched this. I watched this sometime last week. Maybe something happened to his earpiece, blew up, or maybe they're all cats and they can't wear earpieces. You think about that? Huh? You think about that? Or their earpieces would be, wait. Should their ears be, here's an age-old furry question for cat girls. Should the ears be cat ears, but where humans have their ears? Or should they be cat ears on the top of their heads like cats have? This kind of goes in between. If you treat them like elf ears or like goblin ears in this show.
Remember that remember that Cats movie that came out a few years ago?
No.
Well,
kind of. I remember there was a butthole edition that they re-released.
there was, yeah. In that movie, they have the cats in that movie have their ears on the top of their head, and it looks weird.
Kind of weird, right? Like, also the cats are just cats. They're not anthropomorphic. Well, they are anthropomorphic cats, but they don't have like human hair.
Yeah, they're not supposed to be. They're cat people, but it's
like
bizarre.
Like the musical.
Yeah.
I think the musical is good. But when I started seeing trailers for that movie, I was like, I don't know what that is, but I'm not watching that.
Yeah.
But I think this does a good like medium, because whenever they have hair, the ears come out of like the hair. The hats they all have holes for their ears to come out. You can still wear glasses. But one thing I wanted to also point out is, if you notice, if you're watching video, listeners, their glasses are shaped like human glasses, and the what do you call this? The part that sits on your ear to hold that doesn't touch anything. That just hangs there.
Yeah, even in my background, I have a artwork of, looks like official artwork of Callie Briggs, and
she does indeed have that part of her glasses.
I think they're called the arms.
Oh, yeah. And they're not over top of the ears; they're underneath.
No, and indeed, yeah, it just goes straight back, and it's underneath of her ears. So, what's actually holding her glasses up?
The cat knows. Apparently, also her glasses are just one solid, like piece. There's no like bridge. There's no.
Yeah.
Must be expensive whenever she breaks them.
She's a woman of fashion. Okay.
That's true. She is definitely fashionable. I like the big like a sweep that goes in the front. Like, I wonder how long that takes. Maybe the rules for cat hair are different in this world.
See, I kind of just like everything that's going on.
You like everything that's going on
with Callie Briggs.
Heels, businesswoman, leggy,
Uh-huh.
So
A lot of boxes are being ticked, is what I'm saying.
yeah. What we're trying to say is April O'Neil's got nothing on Callie Briggs of SWAT Cats fame. So I particularly like the last third of the episode. They're like, oh, SWAT Cats, we don't need to go and find them. They're going to come to us because they kidnapped the mayor and Callie.
Yeah.
And this is where some trust me, bro, magic / tech comes in. They have a force field with the press of a button. They trap the mayor and Callie in them. Things can go in to this force field, but they can't come out because you can bang on it from the inside and you can't leave. But Dark Cat can like reach in and punch like someone, or you could like shoot into it.
It's like the reverse of shields in Star Trek, because in Star Trek, you can,
it doesn't let things in.
But if you like say take a shuttlecraft, you can fly a shuttlecraft out,
and you can fire out of it. Yeah, it's like reverse. Yeah, but he reaches in to like shove or knock out the mayor or like something, or take away a gun or something from Callie.
I'm not gonna lie, when you did this, made me think of something else entirely.
You don't go in with the fist. You go in with the fingers, and then
you work up.
Whatever are you talking about? And then you form the fist when you're punching people is what we're talking about. So when he goes through the force field, but here's the thing: when you bring your arm back, wouldn't his arm get cut off? Is what I'm trying to say. Because he's pulling, or is it because the source of it is on the outside? You can.
Yeah, and when he's inserts the fist,
as one does,
into the hole, it creates an opening in the shield that he pulls it out, and then when he pulls his arm
it recedes, and it recedes and puckers back up, elastic, and a sort of like an elastic sphincter of force field.
Yeah.
Okay, so you couldn't reach in and grab someone else and pull them out because that's too big of a...
Yeah.
It'd be impossible.
Yeah.
Okay, you sold me. Say no more.
Please.
So you couldn't just reach in and take... Yeah, okay, yeah. While this is happening, they are watching TV, the SWAT cats, presumably eating pizza, as 90 cartoon renegades want to do.
Yeah.
And the TV show or the news or whatever is hijacked by Dark Cat and co. And it's like, hey, I'm the ruler of these. Yeah, all you need to become ruler of a city is hijack the mayor and his assistant. I love how simple 90s
right, because the reason why Dark Cat had the Metallicats kidnap the mayor and the deputy mayor was because he wanted to put them on live TV, handing over power of the city to him.
That's right, whether they like to or not. And but the actual reason was to lure the SWAT cats there, and they fly in. And before we cut to commercial break, a missile silo opens up on this small island and shoots a missile and just blows up the jet, the SWAT cat jet. When we come back from commercial break, it's revealed that they had to sacrifice that, and in the explosion, they ejected the SWAT submarine or the SWAT submersible.
The SWAT sub.
Couldn't And the idea is because they wanted to trick Dark Cat and Co. into thinking that they had been destroyed. And in my head, I'm like, that's $1 billion jet. Why didn't you just take the submarine from the shore all the way to the island? Then you'd still have your jet and your submarine.
Is it $1 billion jet, or is it a 10 million Pepsi point jet?
Well, since they did not deliver on the 10 million Pepsi point jet, I want to say $1 billion jet.
Okay, so what you're saying is the city's plan to replace this destroyed jet with Pepsi points.
Unfortunately,
not really going to pan out.
Not going to work out. Apparently, that was the only way. And then they sneak onto the island. I think they could have snuck on the island if they just took the submarine there. But I'm not paid as a secret branch of the SWAT police to come up with ideas. The SWAT cats are. Mm-hmm. And
yes,
they sneak on there. And kudos to the animators. So one, there are just straight up guns. If you want to see a show with like just fucking like M16s and laser rifles and Gatling guns and missiles, like there's just a gunfight inside this warehouse, like a 10-minute long gunfight, like with actual bullets and actual like pistols and sidearms and guns. And the bullets can enter the force field where where Callie and the mayor are. At one point, the SWAT cats get trapped in it, but Lieutenant Farrell, Colonel Farrell, what?
But yeah, so the SWAT cats get captured in the force field as well, and a mysterious tall figure wearing a raincoat and hat sneaks in.
Who is obviously one of the characters of the show.
Yeah.
But by the way, it's showing this character like sneaking about for like 5 minutes. It keeps showing this character sneaking around the island. And it's just like, ooh, who could this be? It's obviously Farrell.
Yeah. And he shuts the force field off and ends up like taking his hat and coat off. And they're like, Commander Farrell, what are you doing here?
And there's the cop that, I don't know what trope this is, but they end up like back to back fighting. And it's like, who would have thought I'd be on the same side as the SWAT cats? Shut up or like, who would have thought that like you'd be working with us, Farrell? Shut up and fill them with lead. Right? Like there's this like moment where they have to like work like together. I like that. It's dumb, but it is very 80s and 90s like action.
Normally I work alone.
It has those
desperate
like,
times call for desperate measures.
Times call for desperate measures. I'm here for justice. It has nothing to do with you SWAT cats. I'll deal with you later. He's got like, like a revolver, right? Straight up, the fungus monster is just like shot in the head. And I'm like, is he dead? Did he blow up? I don't know. He just kind of flies off of the screen. I'm like, surprised he hasn't been shot in the head before now.
I was simultaneously bit by a rattlesnake and struck by lightning.
And I became this fungus monster. Struck by lightning and bit by a rattlesnake.
And at that very moment, suddenly, I gained all the wisdom of the ancient kung fu masters.
You guys, and that's true. That's a proven fact. It's just really hard to time those things at the exact same rate. And it has to be a venomous, snake that you would die from.
And that's how Kung Fury was born.
Yeah. You don't need to practice martial arts. You just get struck by lightning and bit by a rattlesnake at the same time.
Yeah. And somehow, not only does that give you superpowers, it also gives you all of the ancient wisdom of mastery of Kung Fu.
Mm-hmm. All the Kung Fu types.
All the Kung Fu, yeah.
The Kung Fu.
Every single one of them.
Every single Kung Fu. When it comes to Kung Fu, he was a knower. So what ends up happening? The bad guys um eat their own tail, so to speak, because Dark Cat, as he's announcing to the city that he will be the supreme leader of Mega Cat City. And he keeps using verbiage like this that keeps making Dr. Viper be like, I thought you said we would split everything equally. And at first he's like, oh, we'll deal with that later. But then he's like, I lied.
Just a slip of the tongue.
Slip of the tongue, yes. Oh, by the way, Dr. Viper, I lied. What are you going to do about it? I own the city. And he's like, I have a ray gun and a giant fungus monster. Like, I'll just beat you up. And at some point, the Metallicats get their collars off. And they're like, oh, now's our times for revenges.
You notice villain team ups always end up like resulting in failure because of that very thing.
That's the lesson. They could have beaten the good guys, but infighting always makes them fail.
It's like if you guys could have won if you just like held up your end of the bargain.
Right? Evil is as evil does, Mama always said. And I think that's always the point of, that's not even a trope so much as it is like a tale as old as time, in both like kids TV shows as well as like, Greek epics and plays and like whatever, is like evil begets evil, or whatever the saying is. Like it destroys itself, which is convenient because otherwise the SWAT cats would have been toast. And I can't remember exactly how. Maybe they're arrested, because this is the end of season 1, I believe.
It is.
I think Dr. Viper gets away, but like Dark Cat is arrested, or vice versa, or something like that, leading to season 2, probably with like a breakout and presumably like that sort of thing.
Yeah, I think so. I can't remember exactly how the episode ends, but the good guys won.
The good guys won, and then it's like, oh well, we'll just have to bill the mayor for like a new jet. And the mayor's like, what? If I was living in Mega Cat City, I'd be pretty pissed if my tax dollars had to renew $1 billion jet, because the SWAT cats wanted to make a distraction or fake their own deaths. I'd be like, there must have been a cheaper way to assault these comically inept villains holding the mayor and the deputy mayor hostage. But no, it had to be with the destruction of a super expensive experimental jet.
It's the only way.
It's the only way. And geez, is there any last thoughts before we do our take
Not
away?
really, no. Just what I mentioned earlier. I think it's weird that the city is going to foot the bill for a new jet. Meanwhile, the city is also like the cops are trying to stop the SWAT cats.
The cops want to prove their worth so that they don't need the SWAT cats anymore. Is my takeaway from that relationship.
Oh yeah, and another thing too is that the police in this city fucking armored to shit. Like they're driving around in tanks.
Oh yeah, I completely forgot during that whole like the wild like fight scene. Not only do the enemies have like armored cars that are just civilian cars are like bouncing off of it and exploding, the police are like, it's like GTA. They've got like city tanks for some reason. So yeah, I guess taxes are really high. How come taxes are highest in the most dangerous cities in cartoons? Like there's no reason to live in this city. At best, you get your car destroyed by like a super villain cat that's made out of metal, and at worst, like you have like 50% income tax so that the SWAT cats can get like a second or third tank.
Yeah, I feel like in cities that are very crime ridden, I
Like,
feel
why are there
like
people still in Gotham?
I feel like taxes tend to be lower to encourage
To
more
get people more.
to encourage people to actually like move.
Like, the rent must be super cheap in Gotham, right?
Yeah, I would say. Which is also like, okay, so think about this. Tons of crime in a city. Taxes are fairly low, and the cost of living is fairly low because people don't want to live there. So the only reason people do live there
That's the only reason people are in Gotham and Mega Cat City, yes.
So it's the only it's the only reason people live there. Those low taxes and low government funding kind of helps perpetuate crime and problems in the city, which then encourages more
corruption
encourages people to live there.
Petty crime.
Due to a lower cost of living, which causes more crime. I just figured out this weird, like...
That's how Gotham even exists. That's why there's always infinite cronies. That's why there's always infinite cronies to follow whatever supervillain there is. It's like you get bored, you've been unemployed for like a few months. Why not put on clown makeup and do what the Joker says? At least you get paid. And then you get to shit talk. Also, whatever gym the cronies in Gotham go to, have you ever noticed all the goons are jacked? Or at least the ones in the the games?
Yeah.
Like, they're always fucking like 280 pounds of like muscle. And I'm like, damn, that the Joker must have a great gym benefit. They're never just skinny guys that you one punch either. Like, you got to beat the shit out of these guys. I don't know about you, but like, I'm punched once by Batman, I'm probably down. And I'm not a small dude. Punched once by Bat. Like, he's not a normal man. Like, isn't Batman like 6'8" and like gigantic, and he has like
I think he's
carbon
6'2".
Kevlar.
6'2",
yeah, I know
like,
that 6'2",
280 pounds,
and has like top of the line like fucking like like carbon ceramic like armor or like whatever. That guy punches me in the jaw once. I see him take out like 8 goons with weapons, and I'm a dude without weapons. What? I'm the one dude, nameless goon number 6, that's taking down Batman. Sorry, that's just a little like, I'm sorry, but like, I would be genre savvy. I would be genre savvy, and I'd be like,
yeah, immediately as soon as like Batman
I'd
shows
pretend
up,
to go down.
As soon as Batman shows up, I'm just like, hands up.
If I get punched once, I'm lucky.
Don't worry, Bats. You don't have to knock me out or anything. I'm just gonna kneel down on the ground, put my hands on my head.
Tell me that all the dudes that get like back snapped and like neck stomped by that dude have no lifelong injuries. They just like wake up and they're like like comic book knocked out. They're like, oh, damn bats, and like walk away. No, broken necks, broken backs, broken jaws.
I know there's always this big like hubbub made about the fact that, ooh, Batman doesn't kill, but we never really like, technically he doesn't directly kill anyone, but you can't tell me that
he's
dude
paralyzed like hundreds of goons.
You can't tell me that dude that he just threw off of a roof, who technically lived, you can't tell me that guy wouldn't have lived longer had he not been thrown off a roof.
Or he's like paraplegic.
Yeah.
Like the overhead like knee slams and the knees to like the jaws that he does, like he's breaking necks and backs. Yeah. Like they're wheelchair bound like for life. Mm-hmm. They're not just like waking up and being like, ow, my head. Like they've got concussions, internal bleeding.
Who turned out the lights?
Oh damn, we've been had by the bats again.
It was the freaking bat.
It was the freaking bat. Oh
Hey.
boy, the boss is gonna be mad.
Anyway, we're off in the weeds here.
We're off in the weeds. Siege, you just jingle all the siege,
Yeah.
maybe. You just watched a random episode
Siege
of
of
SWAT
Claws.
Cats, or the Siege of Claws, if you will. Saint Christopher, the Siege of Claws.
Yeah.
You just watched a random episode of SWAT Cats, the Radical
Squadron.
Squadron.
Wait,
Here on.
is a squad? Can it be a squadron when there's only two of them? How many?
I don't think so, man. A squadron is an operational unit in an air force consisting of 2 or more flights of aircraft and the personnel required of them. There are 2.
Two or more aircraft, though. They only have one jet.
Oh, shit.
And
2
so
or more aircraft and the personnel required to fly them.
And it,
Principal division of an armored or cavalry regiment consisting of 2 or more troops or a group of warships detached on a particular duty under the command of a flag officer. It's iffy. It's
All
right in
I'm-
the line on.
all I'm saying is when I hear squadron, I don't think two dudes.
Good point. And they only have
Anyway.
one jet.
Yeah, and they only have one jet.
You caught a random episode of the Radical Squadron. Would you tune in next week?
No. I probably would have liked this if I had seen it in 1993 when I was 8. But
We got to be real with people. We've always have.
yeah, I don't know.
From,
It's as I mentioned, like I feel like this show is kind of a how do you do fellow kids take on like 90s like cool.
And to mirror you, I'm in the same boat. I probably wouldn't tune in next week as 37-year-old me, but this would be my jam if I caught this on TV when it was airing.
Mm-hmm.
And even though it's kind of weird here on Lazor Comb podcast, you'd think we would cater to the nostalgia berries, right? Like people pay us to review like a certain show, and we do like lots of shows, and we dislike lots of shows.
We like Fillmore.
Good point. And that was more kiddish than this. We like Callie Briggs enough to possibly search her on certain image hosting websites. But it does feel very much like on the heels of like, how do you do my fellow 90s cool kids? Like what year was this?
93.
93. So it like because Biker Mice from Mars.
You know, I was just thinking of Biker Mice from
Were
Mars
you?
too. Yeah.
Biker Mice from Mars was after this, but it feels so much more like all
they're
of these are on the heels of TMNT.
Totally.
I'll give it that.
In the case of Biker Mice, like they're going for kind of the same vibe, but I think I think something like Biker Mice like sticks the landing a lot better. No pun intended.
And regardless of, oh God, that was 50 episodes ago, we covered Biker Mice from Mars. And I think, I'm
Probably
probably
even more
wrong.
than that now.
I think, maybe I'm wrong, that we were like, oh yeah, I definitely like tune in. Like there's some beats here. Or maybe we landed on a bad episode and we said no. But I feel like it's substantial and like the characters, they fit their archetypes and they break them. And there's some character involvement there. And it knows what its campiness is. This particular episode, the villains talk about 5-6 times as much as the SWAT cats do. Like that, there's nothing really drawing me to the SWAT cats themselves, other than that they're just kind of cops, but they live underground.
I can't tell you anything about the SWAT cats themselves as characters.
But as characters, I'm more interested in Dr. Viper, who probably has the most lines on the show, as well as Callie Briggs.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it kind of feels like the SWAT cats are like secondary to the villains and like the and Callie. I think
Which is
one of
odd
them
because the show is
liked,
called SWAT Cats.
and I think to summarize my thoughts there, that's why I referred to TMNT and Biker Mice from Mars, is they have very strong, like, even though all the turtles look the same and they just have a different colored bandana going across, like ninja mask thing. They're very different, and people all have a different favorite Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle.
Mm-hmm.
Biker Mice from Mars, boom, right? Like you got the brown, you got the white, you got the gray mouse, right? You got like the cyborg thing, right? They're jacked. You see their arms. They're all bikers, right? What you see is what you get. Bikers, mice, Mars. Sounds pretty cool. SWAT cats, you don't really get what you what you see. What is it is this magic evil cool cat wizards and an evil half lizard half dog dude who's like trying to steal a science, and then you got like the boring SWAT cats.
Simply put, this show wasn't as hype as I thought it was going to be, just based on the title and like the animation.
Mm-hmm. And that being said, the gunfight scenes, they're I've never seen gunfight scenes in cartoons like these. Just straight up like people shooting each other. That's something. But there's a certain hypeness, and it's captured better by other cartoons. I feel.
Mm-hmm.
There was no moment where I was like, "Oh fuck, these guys are rad," but there were moments where I thought, like the police chief, or like Callie, or like Dr. Viper were cool. And that's the thing. If your show is SWAT cats, you got to make them do something cool.
Yeah.
And other than just shooting a gun and like winning,
and flying around in a jet,
which is cool. But well, let's just say we have higher standards in our the aging demographic.
The X-Men fly around in a jet too, but you know what? The jet,
good point.
They land that jet and get out and fight. Is what I'm saying.
And yeah, occasionally it's destroyed here and there, but they have a rich benefactor and they don't take directly from the taxpayers. Is what we're trying to say here. What we're saying is, if they had a rich, bald, psychic boss that was like, "To me, my X-Men," it would have maybe have been a better. Makes me just kind of want to watch X-Men now.
Did you ever? I was having a discussion with someone on social media about this the other day, but I feel like my as I've gotten older, I started off as a kid as a fan of the X-Men, being on Charles's side, and now over time, as a nearly 40-year-old man, especially with the state of the world right now. Particularly a lot of people's views towards certain marginalized groups. I'm kind of a lot more on Magneto's side of things these days.
Watching Magneto, oh man, he doesn't want to kill Xavier. He wants to. He basically, one of them is trying to prove that mutants can be good and wants to help mankind accept them, and the other one says, humans are inferior and evil, and I'm tired of asking to not be oppressed.
Yeah.
So I'm going to take. I'm going to make myself a world or take an area where those like me are free. As I get older, you know what? Violence does solve a lot of problems. In fact, some would say probably solves the most amount of problems. The number of people I've met that have never been punched in the face is staggering, is shocking, and you always know who hasn't. You've met people, they're running their mouth or they have like certain ideas or whatever, and you're like, this guy has not been punched in the face.
Mm-hmm.
But it's a sobering effect of it's a sobering effect when you realize that there can be repercussions for your actions and the thing you say when you get punched in the face the first time. It's a rite of passage for empathy, one might one might say. And I welcome people to help others empathize, is what I'm trying to say. I almost went a little Jeff Goldblum. I invite other people to empathize as it
sometimes people who have certain opinions about things that they decide to voice, sometimes those people do deserve a punch in the face, is what you're saying.
Yeah. And what I'm trying to say is good people on both sides, and bad people on both sides, and other politically neutral pansy ass takes on neutral politics is what I got. I don't even know. What are we talking about? Biker Mice from Mars? Biker Mice from Mars. Okay, so who's your favorite? Vinny?
It was Moto.
Oh, you're right. Yours was Moto. Yeah.
Please, he's
he's
a
biggest.
Tough. He's
got a
tough, gruff badass.
eye patch.
He's got an eye patch and a metal arm.
Got an eye patch and metal arm.
Metal arm has like a gun that comes out of his like forearm.
That's pretty cyberpunk.
Yeah.
Did they all have what was the? I like Throttle has at least one handkerchief. Hold on here. I have a certain gift. Two, because one's around his wrist. Right. Got cool hair. Always forget Vinny's right. Vinny's the white one. They all have fingerless gloves. Did the SWAT cats have fingerless gloves? They gain a point of.
I think they did. Yeah.
I don't care what they must have. Everyone anybody cool in the 90s. Yeah, they did.
Yeah, they did.
Okay.
Yeah.
Whew. Yeah.
Had me worried for a second there.
Listeners, let us know in the comments how many pairs of fingerless gloves you have. And if it's 0, what are you waiting for, man?
If it's 0, what decade were you born in?
Yeah, what decade were you born in? Because it wasn't the 80s or 90s. I feel like even Gen X thinks like fingerless gloves are cool. Well, are we the last of our kind? Did that end with millennials?
I think so. So it sounds to me like you're not tuning in next week either.
I'm not.
To circle back.
Oh yeah. Sorry, I had tried to mention I'm mirroring your opinion on that. But I tried to give some like insight as to why. One of the SWAT cats is bigger than the other. They wear cool bandanas to hide their like faces, sort of. But like they're the least. You can, if your show is called SWAT Cats and the least important characters of the SWAT Cats,
then you've got a problem.
Yeah, and maybe other episodes are different than that. But
just give Callie her own show.
Give Callie her own show, and it's going to kind of be like Gordon from Gotham, a little bit more grounded, a little where you deal with yeah. Let's see that live action SWAT Cats where Callie Briggs is the main character,
and the show
there's a lot of fan art of her,
and the show is kind of like Office Politics type series.
Oh, I was thinking more like Gotham and Jim, but you're thinking more like Brooklyn.
I'm thinking more like She-Hulk.
Well, so you're not thinking of like Brooklyn Nine-Nine. You're thinking of like She-Hulk. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, because that's more office-y rather than like law enforcement. Yeah. Okay. So you're thinking less The Office, more She-Hulk.
Yeah.
Politicking and such. Well, I think we've exhausted our tangents for the episode.
For this week, yeah.
No,
was,
so it, go ahead, good sir.
I was going to say, that was episode 103 of the Lazor Comb podcast. If you want to support the show, go to patreon.com/lazorcomb, LAZORCOMB. Starting at the $5 tier, you get access to our weekly Patreon exclusive podcast, the Super Lazor Comb Patreon Super Show. At the $10 tier, you get that. You also get the occasional commentary track. And much like Vampiro, you get to pick a show for us to review a random episode of on this very podcast. And there's a $20 tier that gets you a whole lot more, including getting to pick the episode of said show as well. So if you want to get in on that, go to patreon.com/lazorcomb.
You get to bypass the you just landed on a bad episode.
Exactly.
Or you cherry pick an episode for us. We don't like the show anyway, and your part of your soul is down. Either way, at least we get to watch it.
Sometimes I've always worried. I'm like, oh man, are our listeners going to hate us if we don't like a show that they pitched us? But so far it hasn't happened yet.
So far it hasn't happened yet. They got. I think the analysis and the joke, the journey along the way, the friends or enemies we made along the way is part of the experience.
Exactly.
Right. And we don't need to like it. They want us to experience it.
Or suffer through it in the case of a certain penguin-themed show.
We don't.
we don't say
listeners,
its
name. It's out of the bag now. There's an episode. There's a TV, a Christian 3D animated space penguin cartoon. Sounds cool, right? It's called 321 Penguins. That I think was the most triggering show we've ever covered.
Yeah, and I mean, I'll say one thing about 321 Penguins is, well,
it exists.
Many, many years from now, when we're old men and probably not doing these podcasts anymore,
I'll still be angry about it.
I'm still gonna remember 321 Penguins.
Fair.
I'll be in the nursing home and I'll just wake up screaming one night. Penguins!
And they'll be like, old man siege. Don't worry, it was just, did you have the dream again? As like the nurse like pats the sweat from your brow, and you'll be like, how did you know?
Join the Discord. It's the best way to interact with us. Link in the description, as always. I'm also getting fairly active on Blue Sky lately.
Yeah, I should get into it. Yeah, I should get back in there.
Give either one of us a follow. I'll put links to our Blue Sky profiles in the description of this episode as well.
Oh, thank you, good sir. Thank you.
We're taking a couple of weeks off from this podcast. Because we're going to be we're jumping back over to Planet Energon to do our annual holiday specials of Too Much Energon, episodes 149 and 150.
That's right.
Those will be coming up in the next couple of weeks here, so keep an eye out for those. But when we come back to this podcast in a few weeks, we are going to be doing another Patreon pick. I mentioned $20. I mentioned how $20 allows you to pick the exact episode of a show you want us to watch, and we're going to do that. Our longtime patron and listener, Josh, wants us to watch Buffy the Vampire Slayer, Season 3, Episode 5, Homecoming.
Season 3, Episode 5, Homecoming. You know what's funny? Somehow, over 100 episodes, we haven't covered Buffy yet.
Well, we'll be covering it on the episode 104 of the Lazor Comb podcast. And until then, I've been The Siege, one of your hosts.
And I'm Cal Kringle, your other host.
Thanks for listening, and Merry Christmas, and we'll ho up the place next time.
So the fur you hoe by inserting just a few fingers at first. And that you don't want to ho like just all three hoes at once. you need to put some space, some distance. You need to lubricate each hoe, as it were, individually.
See, for a true ho ho ho, you
And
don't need to start off small. You can just go right in.
You go all three hoes just all at once.
Bye-bye.
Oh yeah, I like your background.
Every time you put your earbuds in, it always just reminds me of MGS1, where Colonel Campbell is like, the codec directly stimulates the bones of your inner ear. No one but you will be able to hear it.
I never thought about that, but that's what they are. Yeah.
Yeah.
Bone conducting earbuds. I mean, they actually don't go in your ears. They sit outside. It's eerie because you would think that you can hear everything else, but if something's playing like a video game, or I'm watching something, I do hear it, but it's like hearing two things like at once, and I still have to be like, and lift them up and be like, what?
Right.
Like you wouldn't think that because there's absolutely nothing in your ear, but like the sound is decent. I wouldn't say for like gaming. Like if you like you want the surround sound headphones or whatever when you're playing DVDs, so you can hear footsteps on the other side of a wall and which way they're running or whatever. But like they're pretty fucking good, man.